everyone, I'm here today to do a video about my top 5 debut novels. This is part of Top 5 Wednesday and I decided to do this specific topic because I think it's super awesome. I have come up with 5 debut novels that I absolutely love, and it turns out that most of these books are some of my personal favorites of all time, so that's quite interesting. I didn't know most of these books were debut novels, so I was kind of surprised when I came up with the books. Now, I have ranked the books, and at number 5 we have The Rosie Project by Graham Simpson. I read this book last year and I fell in love with it because of the protagonist. The protagonist is called Dunn, and Dunn has autism, I think that's what it's called. That means that he likes to control everything in his life. He even wants to control his love life, and in this book he tries to find his future wife through the Rosie Project. This is a story with a lot of cute love and with a lot of humor, and I really loved it. I didn't know it was a debut novel, but now that I know, I love it even more. I will say the sequel wasn't really that great, so if you want to read this book, then I would recommend that you just stick with this one. At number 4 I have Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. This book is beautiful. First of all, I love this cover, and that's why I have always this book on display on my bookshelves, because I like to look at the cover. But the book in itself is very good as well, that's why it's on my list. This is a crime story, and I'm not much into crime stories, but this book is not about the crime per se. This is more about the family members of the girl who has been murdered. We then follow what happens to this family prior to the murder and after the murder, and that's what I think is very interesting about this book. And furthermore, this is beautifully written. I was very impressed when I read it last year. At number 3 we have an old favorite of mine, and I might be cheating a little bit because this author has written a lot of poetry, and this is the only novel that she has published, and that is Sylvia Plath's The Bell Jar. I would consider this her debut novel because it is her only novel. This is about a girl who is very, very depressed, and she actually wants to commit suicide. We then follow her in this book where she feels like she lives in a bell jar because she feels a disconnect to the rest of the world. She feels isolated and alone, and no one understands her. This is a beautiful book, and I do feel that you can sense that this author writes poetry because the writing style in this book is absolutely captivating. At number 2 we have one of my favorite books of all time, and that is The Snow Child by Ewan Ivey. This is a magical realism book about a couple who lives in Alaska. This couple is middle-aged and they are kind of lonely, and they really want to have a child, but so far they haven't succeeded. One day they decide to build a snowman in the forest, and next day this snowman has disappeared. Not because the snow has melted, it has just disappeared. And then in the following days they meet this little girl who suddenly appears in their neighborhood, and they decide to take her in as one of their family. Now, this is beautiful. I read this during winter last year, and I think that really enhanced the book for me. I so recommend this book simply because it's so captivating and beautiful, and I simply loved everything about it. And the first book on my list of debut novels is one of my favorite books of all time. I think this book makes it to my top 3 books of all time actually, and that is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. If you have read this book, you know what I'm talking about, but if you haven't, you simply must. This is a masterpiece, and I'm so surprised that an author who hasn't written anything earlier can come up with a book like this. This is perfection. This is about a group of college students who decide to gather together in their college years, and things happen. Secret things happen. I cannot really get too much into the story per se, but I can tell you that there was something about it that captivated me from beginning to start, and I simply had to reread this book very soon because it is so good. It really is. And also all of Donna Tartt's other books, that means The Little Friend and The Goldfinch, are worth a read as well. Well, that is it for my video today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments if you have any recommendations when it comes to debut novels, because I would very much like to know. Happy reading, and bye bye!